Welcome to Everyday Life. Thank you for joining our podcast, Conversations Over Coffee. My name is Jen.
And I'm Dagda.
And we're going to hit you with the explicit content warning right off the bat. This podcast does include adult situations and adult language from time to time.
I'm an angel. I never fucking cuss.
Okay. Anyways, you ready to go?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's go.
Wow.
Wow.
The
Wow.
fuck?
That's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
The Sandy Claus.
Yeah, I think maybe I watched that one time because Chantel loved that fucking, well, she loved everything Tim Burton.
Yeah.
So I
There's
remember.
a lot Tim Burton to love.
I remember we watched that. What's the one with fucking.
Jack, Sally, and Zero is The Nightmare Before Christmas.
No.
Okay.
The one, it's a live action one. Fuck.
Give me an actor.
Sweeney Todd.
Okay.
We watched Sweeney Todd.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember. I think maybe we did watch Nightmare Before Christmas, but I definitely remember Sweeney Todd.
Right.
I remember bits and pieces of Nightmare Before Christmas, but maybe I didn't actually watch it. It's just I've seen bits and pieces of it.
You know, and you might have seen bits and pieces of it when I'd watched it at the shop too.
Mm.
That's just my favorite part of that whole movie. Kidnap the Santa Claus and beat him with a stick. Tie him up for 50 years and see what makes him tick. I love it. Anyways, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing well. We're into the new season, so that's exciting. And we already started talking about Tim Burton, so we might as well just fucking keep it up, I guess. Kidding. I would need to research first because I know there's a lot of different Tim Burton stuff out there. Yeah. We already did talk about his Batmans at one point. 4 more Batmans, please.
Isn't Edward Scissorhand him too?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
That didn't sound very confident, did it?
Yeah, I've seen that movie. I remember seeing that movie in the theater. Yeah.
That's so much better than Edward Penis Hands, that's for sure.
I've never seen that movie, but we had it.
We had it, and people bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways.
In the Spominator.
I don't want to talk about porn. Anyways.
I'll be back.
I thought he said, I'll come on your back.
I don't know. I didn't watch that one either.
Anyways, so let's get caught up on a few things, right?
Okay.
So you did not really care to watch it. Welcome to the Derry.
Yeah.
I don't think it is anything other than the gore factor was just like, it had the predictable jump scares for you. And it was just like, even though it is cosmic horror, I think it just didn't tickle your funny bone the right way.
Yeah.
Now, had you ever read or audibled the It book?
Yeah. No.
The original by Stephen King.
Yeah, I've never read or
you just know a few
the
excerpts from it about things like differences, because people obviously talk about differences between the movie and the miniseries and the book.
It's been around for so fucking long that
2026 40-year anniversary. That's when it came out, was 1986. So I was way too young to read that. Way too young to read that book. Anyways, so Welcome to Derry, just because I am a Stephen King fan, I am a Bill Skarsgård fan, and I kind of wanted to see what they were going to do with this, because I really thought with Welcome to Derry, they were going to do like a backstory on the kids' families, which they kind of did. And they kind of didn't. Yeah,
okay.
So,
because they kind of set it up to where you'd be getting back stories, sort of back information, I guess, and backstory, I guess. Yeah. They set it up so that it would lead to that. At least that's what it looked like from seeing the first episode.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. When you watch the first episode, you're like, oh, this is going to build this. Okay, so 1962 is when this is at. Oh, this is going to build up like the parents and how they grew up. Mm-hmm. And like my original thought was, okay, this is going to give a history of the parents, right? Yeah. Because we knew a good portion of these kids were all linked to Derry somehow. Mm-hmm. They were either born there or they had moved there. Like in the original It story, there's only one outsider, two outsiders technically in that whole group. And the first one is Mike Hanlon. He is the black kid, the African American kid.
Okay.
And in the story, he wasn't living in Derry. He originally was living outside of Derry.
Okay.
Okay. Because there was a big giant house fire. Like he was on the outskirts of Derry kind of thing.
Okay.
And then you had Ben Hanscom, who was the chubby kid who moved around different states, and they just happened to land in Derry because his dad had died and his mom, if I remember correctly, which I hope I did, I like either his parents got divorced or his dad had died, but his mom and him moved in with his aunt in Derry, right?
Okay.
So when I first watched It Welcome to Derry, we watched that first episode, which it's embarrassing to say I laughed quite a bit, but I did.
Yes, you did.
It's evil to say, but I found it very humorous.
Yeah.
But I thought, okay, great. This is going to give a backstory. We're going to find out the history of like Ben's aunt finally, because that's why they moved to Derry. They were linked because he had family there. Oh boy. And it's going to show this progress and everything. And it didn't. So for me, and I'm being quite honest about it, the best thing about this entire series is the girl. Well, honestly, my favorite character, spoiler alert, is dead. His name was Richie, and he was the little Cuban American kid. And he was just his character had such a way to like look at things, about looking for the beauty in things and the calmness in things and what matters most in things. And that's like being true to yourself and your friends and having your friends as back.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler alert, in the first episode, they kill everybody that was basically being set up to be the fucking people that were in the movie. The loser 100%. Club basically all dies in the first fucking episode.
If you look at it like it's transferring from A to B, absolutely. It's like, how would those people actually transfer from, like, how would you look at, okay, this would represent this would represent that. So I actually,
although with like two, I think two of them survive. Well, one definitely. The black girl survives.
Yeah, Ronnie, she survives, and Lily, she survives.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So two of the original 2 of the original 6 kids you see, because the 7th one would obviously be Will Hanlon, who comes in, because he comes in after the movie theater incident.
Okay.
So yeah, you do think, oh my God, we've got almost the entirety of this losers club here. Who's going to be the last one? And then dun dun dun, evil demon baby rips out of the screen and kills these kids. Right. Yeah. So, and that just sends poor little Lily back to the Juniper Hill. So, yeah.
Also, like, I'm assuming it's meant to have a bunch of seasons. So maybe the first season isn't going to establish the history of the loser club's predecessors, because they're thinking they're going to dole this out slowly over a bunch of different seasons.
Right. And
this is how I met your mother. This is how I met your father. Blah, blah, blah.
Yep. And that's what I was thinking too, because so I watched the season. There are a couple of really good episodes that are creep scare.
Okay.
Like I think there was, and it's really sad when I say in the very final episode, there was one point in there where I actually had the ick scare, where I was just like, ugh, and just got the shudders, and that was it. There was
it like body horror, or
it was it's literally 3/4 of the way through the episode, and Pennywise is going kind of nuts, and he's doing his slow stalk, and all of a sudden he starts opening his mouth and has multiple layers of teeth with the deadlights in the back. He opens his mouth and he just stops, absolutely still, doesn't move. And that just gave me the ick factor, because look, we live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
We have the same homeless people who walk from one end to the other and all of that, right?
Yeah.
And I feel bad, except for those ones that are on Trank or whatever, that do that fold over and shake thing for hours on end.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what, because I'm up between 1:30 and 2:30 pretty much every morning, I have looked at that front window and seen people at the stop sign, or not stop sign, but at the corner doing that. So it gives me the ick creeps. But
okay,
for me, the final episode in the season just fell flat. And that's just for me. I'm sure other people who haven't been watching the series and didn't, maybe they didn't see the miniseries. Maybe they didn't read the book. Maybe they're just basing all of how they feel on the It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Where you don't have to use your imagination in in any of the more current stuff.
Okay.
You did in the past. You do in the book. You have to use your imagination to visualize what he's conveying. And you have to, even in the miniseries that came out like 1990, 91, you had to really, 1990. Okay. Sorry. Like I have that note. You really had to visualize some of the things that they were saying and what they were describing.
Okay. Yeah.
So nowadays you don't have to do that. You don't have to imagine shit. Oh, look, poof, a 9-foot alligator with 12 jaws and 7 heads. Woo. And you can just see it. We can create it. Right. So, but the last episode, it fell flat for me because it felt very anticlimactic.
Okay.
So I'll wrap up this episode with 2 things when we get towards the end of it. Right. I'm not going to wrap up the episode right now, but I'm like, oh no,
short.
Like, when we get to it, there's 2 things I'll wrap up with, and one is how everybody's connected.
Okay.
And the future predictions that they have. So I guess that's 2, 3. And then 3, something that Pennywise says that was probably the only thing that actually made my skin crawl. There was 2 things that made my skin crawl. Okay. But at the end of the episode, I'll get into that. So anyways, yeah, I loved the idea of it being set in the 60s.
Okay. Because
the one thing I really like about that is like today's generations and even millennials that couldn't envision what it used to be like. They do a really, really freaking good job of conveying the 60s and the 50s and the 60s and the lack of technology. There was a couple of things here and there where it was just like, I'm pretty sure that's a 1967 kind of Oldsmobile, but okay, we'll pretend,
Yeah. I mean, it's much easier to emulate the past than the future because, well, we have already been to the past.
Right.
We have the stuff left over from it. So also it eliminates one of the problems with a lot of current, especially like horror or mystery type shows where cell phones are everywhere. And so it's a lot easier to convey information. Also, the internet basically makes it so that mystery and horror especially are more difficult to pull off unless you're like out in the woods or something. Right. If you're in a town, it's really easy to tell your friends, to tell your parents, to find information on this sort of stuff.
Well, because, back in the day, most people would live in like literally pretty much you and the 5 blocks around you. That was your whole community. Yeah. That was that was your landline. That was your internet. That was everything because it was like, I mean, like, obviously I grew up not too far from where we live now, the neighborhood we live now. And I actually can remember going to the bathroom window, which was on the east side of the house, and opening it up to check to see if the neighbor kids were out and ready to play during the summertime. And I remember because one of the neighbor's kids, his name was Christopher, and I could hear stuff and I'd be like, Christopher, but he literally would, that's how we would communicate. We would literally open up the fucking windows and just talk. You would stand on the porch, you'd walk out to your walk, and you'd call down, Gordy, Joanne, you know what I'm saying? And you would call out to them. What do you need? Can Chad come play? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's really, I think that's something. If you
lived in town or in the city. Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't do that. My neighbors weren't that close.
You had to get one of those old fire alarms. What's funny is I actually grew up with one of those hand cranks. I really upset my stepdad when I was just like, I was down in the basement, which I hate basements, but I was down in the basement doing laundry, and apparently he'd been down there showing it off to somebody, and I was just like, I wonder what this does. And I played with it, and it got really loud really quick.
Yeah.
And he was in the bathroom taking a crap, and where I happened to be was directly underneath him, so it was really loud really quick for him.
I mean, I'm sure it helped him out a little bit.
Right. Right. There was a lot of really cool things in the show, like nostalgia wise. And there's moments where you're watching this show, and if you're a Gen Xer and you see how some things are done, you're just like, I was born in the wrong decade, man. Because, you know, the kids, like, literally they follow all the unspoken rules. You're home by dark, you know, play where I know you're at. Don't go across the street, you know, all different kinds of little things.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There was the coolest part for me, probably, and it might be, I don't know if it's because of my age. I don't know if it's just because of how I like a good war hero. But one of the favorite things for me was Leroy Hanlon. One of the kids' dad. He military war hero, and it was really cool because he
was the pilot dude.
Yeah,
okay.
He was the pilot guy, right? And you know, I don't remember if it was in the episode 1 or episode 2 where they talk about why he was such a good pick to be at Derry for this assignment, and that's because he had zero fear. Because of what he'd seen in the war, like they'd figured out really quickly that he didn't have any fear. There was nothing that he was afraid of except for a threat to his child. That was the only thing and even then it wasn't even really fear so much as anger, I think. So that's one thing, like Pennywise feeds off of his fear. It's food for his soul.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just it's not metaphysical that he eats you. He draws his energy off of these people that he keeps in the deadlight stasis off of their fear. So he keeps them in stasis for an energy supply. And then he actually does need actual physical sustenance. You know?
Alrighty then.
Yeah. So it's really cool. All the kids did a really good job. Obviously I'm not okay with them showing children being gored to death, you know, or ripped apart physically.
Okay.
You know, it's an uncomfortable thing for me. It's child abusive, but and I do feel bad that I saw what was coming in that very first episode, that car ride, and I was laughing. I feel bad, but it was just like, I'm like, dude, you should have known better, right? So in that character, his name's Maddie, and that character is an amalgamation of different characters from the book. It's like a couple of different characters together, and I meant to write them down, and I didn't. Because I was just like, who's Maddie supposed to represent? Which the kids don't actually represent. The kids in the main story don't actually represent anybody, not like from the Losers Club at all.
Yeah, there's not a one-to-one correlation.
There's absolutely no one-to-one correlation.
Makes sense.
But what's interesting is the fact that it looks like the way they're going to do this, based on everything I could read, which if you Google it, is there going to be a season 2? It says yes. However, 2 things are happening right now. 1, they don't have any signed contracts for it. And 2, you've got the big sale going on for HBO Max, which is where it's presented. Well, I mean, it's available on HBO Max. Apparently HBO, Warner put it out. But so they're going through the sale wars right now.
Yeah. Basically, they're in the process of maybe getting bought by Netflix or...
Yeah.
Who was the other one? I can't remember.
Paramount Plus.
Paramount,
the Oracle founder. So, you know, and he just recently put up a thing going, I'll guarantee $40 billion of my own personal money. Well, you know, you can fucking do that when your wealth goes from $3 billion to $420 billion in one day. Right. So here's the thing, though. I don't know who's going to end up winning it out. By the time this airs, I'm sure it'll be figured out. So we'll probably have to update it or whatever. Because I didn't really want to talk about that till I saw more of what was going on. Because it's really, what's it going to change? Yeah. Because you've got the Andy Muschietti, who is the producer, one of the producers, directors, and writers of It Welcome to Derry. He's just like, oh yeah, we've got it planned. We know what we're doing next year, but there's no contracts.
Yeah.
So right now the prediction is, yes, they'll still get a contract, but it won't be released till 2027, basically following that same formula that The Last of Us did. We're going to put it out. We're going to give it a year, see what it does, and then go from there. So you've got that. And you've also got Bill Skarsgård, who's just like, look, I love the character. He's super fun to play because there's all these different, levels to him. I mean, there's just so many different levels. You've got it itself. You have the actual ancient cosmic horror itself that has landed on Earth. So it can feed. And it's been here for centuries. Right? Which is not something a lot of people really understand because they're like, oh no, Pennywise and it's the same thing. No, there's actually a difference. So it itself is an ancient creature that's from the cosmos. That's like from the beginning of time. So he's centuries old, right? Yeah. He's millions of years old, but they describe it as centuries old. By the time he comes to Earth, he has spent centuries on Earth. Yeah. And when you read it, when a lot of people see him, they, when the kids see him in the movies and stuff, they see him a couple of different ways. The primary way, there's three ways. One, their greatest horror, right? Whatever their greatest horror was. So for one of the kids, fear. It was like it was like a werewolf. Another one was like the mummy. The other one was like somebody with leprosy, like that kind of thing. Okay. So you've got all that. Then, and Stephen King wrote this very specifically, that Pennywise, for the most part, would be seen as a clown because what he'd figured out was the number one fear of children that he'd been able to understand as he kind of asked questions and read about and went about his life was that the biggest fear kids have is the dark and clowns. Two of the greatest fears for kids. And when you take it of just, what are you afraid of most? Are you afraid of spiders? Are you afraid of this? Clowns, hands down, unprompted, not given a choice. Just, what are you most afraid of? The answer was clowns. And then spiders, everybody, spiders, icky. So what's really interesting is that everybody thinks that it is a female because it's represented a lot of times when you see it as a egg, as a spider carrying egg sacs, laying eggs and all of that. When the reality is he is an ancient one. He's a cosmic. He doesn't need anybody else. Okay. He can do as he pleases. He creates. The Deadlights themselves are a male. And the Deadlights are basically just those three balls of light you see when it opens its mouth. Okay. So those are called the Deadlights. And the reason they're called the Deadlights is because people become basically catatonic. It's almost like they might as well kiss their life goodbye. Because once you become catatonic, you are marked basically for his consumption. He's going to feed off of your fear, and then he's going to feed off of you. But anyways, he's also represented kind of like is this turtle shell, kind of this tortoise guy. So you have to really do a lot of like looking at the back history of it. So, so here's how it goes. So centuries ago, it from the horrific cosmos has come and crash landed on Earth. And he is here. He has a cycle that runs every 27 to 28 years. And they say it that way because his cycle hits at 27, but could run to a full 28 years because his cycle runs for 14 to 16 months, depending on his feeding needs, depending on how much food he feels he needs. And I think that has a lot to do with the representation of change over time. Because think about it. If you or I were to live a year and then go to sleep for 27 years and get up, things would change. Yeah. You would have that whole thing, not only like the buildup of civilization and society, you might end up being somewhere where there is none. Yeah. Where they never, I'm trying to think of like a really low populous place. Like you could end up being like Moses Lake, where the population's been the same for like 100 years.
Or you could end up in a place that was booming, but it's now a ghost town.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Seattle's probably going to be one day.
I mean, considering what's been going on there, I wouldn't be surprised if everybody fucking leaves.
I would not either. And there's a lot of people who have that online debate about it. Yeah. So okay.
They got what they voted for.
They wanted a lawless society. There you go. Stay up there.
Did you see the thing where the other day an old lady got smacked in the face with a 2x4?
With the bolt on the end of it? Yeah.
78,
I think she was 76, 78.
Yeah, something like that. And meanwhile, this dude has been doing stuff like that consistently at that same intersection for months and months and months.
For years. For like 5 years now. He's been doing this since COVID or just after. He's been doing this since like January 20 or 2021.
Yeah.
Like somewhere around there. And they know who he is. They know him by name. They know him by sight. Literally, they had that in one of the reports I read, that they were just like, the cop walked up and go, oh, is that so-and-so? Oh, he's got like 23 offenses.
Yeah.
And it's just like, listen,
Linda.
Listen, Linda, I'm a very PC person, but at this point, when you have a rabid dog, you need to lock it up. I'm not saying put it down. I'm saying you need to lock it up, okay?
Yeah.
It's called a jail. It's called a prison. It's an 8x8 cell, which is much more than some outside dogs get that aren't rabid.
Yeah.
We need to have, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to, okay, so anyways.
Welcome to Derry.
Welcome to Derry, motherfucker.
It's not Seattle. And you're probably glad about that.
Yeah, Derry's actually better than Seattle in some senses. And I'm not trying to smack talk Seattle. It's just become so the first, living in the same state is sometimes hard because Seattle has always wanted to be a forward thinking.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Only you've got everybody one-upping. Well, what if we do this? What if you know where their biggest mistake happened? What if we make it legal to get high on the sidewalk and just lay around? What if we don't make those criminal offenses? What if we no longer offer rehab to people who are getting high out in public and just ask them very nicely to throw their needles away? And if you properly dispose of your needles, please, we'll give you fresh, clean ones.
Yeah.
That is literally when shit started going downhill for Seattle. And it's like, you might as well be that dirty back alley in Philadelphia where they got that huge trank epidemic that's been going on for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Where it's like literally, I think they call it like drug alley or some shit like that. Anyways.
So, in other words, it was good until the 90s.
It was good until somebody went down to fucking Portland to a fucking EMD rave, dropped some acid and Molly, and went, wow, we should do that up north. I'm kidding. I'm not really. But anyways. Okay. So welcome to Derry.
Yep.
So a lot of people are just like, oh, it's not that old. No. Here's the thing. So I personally feel based on it is... So it had behaved very, very long time without people knowing, right? Mm-hmm. So the Indian tribe that lives there have known about him for centuries. Mm. And what they did was they just told, because there's like a certain amount of places that it can go.
Yeah.
So
stay out of this area.
Stay out of this area. This area is a no-go for you. And it's because that's as far as his reach was, because they had found out that he couldn't go past the barrier of what came in with him on the comet. The comet that came in and broke apart, that's what brought him here, was a comet. So these shards are placed at 13 strategic points with different Native American rune symbols and everything.
Okay, yeah.
And he can't go out that. Basically, it's his prison.
Yeah. And
they did that because it was the way to keep them the safest. Right?
They put up a magic circle around him. They Dresden his ass.
Yes, we're not talking Dresden today because we already did that off camera. Don't get me going on Dresden. So anyways,
Demon Reach. Anyway.
You are the warden. Anyways. So at the end of the season, I did look it up. Is there going to be a season 2? Because I was like, it wasn't my favorite thing I've seen, although I love Skarsgård in it.
Yeah.
He does so good. He does so good. I actually saw a clip of him with and without the CGI for one of the final scenes. That's actually the scene I'm actually talking about, where he does the freeze face, the freeze body, where he's absolutely motionless. So they actually did a split screen on it online, and they show him his acting without the CGI, dressed as he is, and then they show it with CGI. And I'll tell you what, they didn't need to fucking do a darn bit of CGI. It was amazing because he's just in character and he's in the moment and he's got the laugh and he's got the swagger and it's just perfect. So I'm like, I would watch more for that because of the way they end it, because you've got Leroy Hanlon, where once they discover that, oh no, the military want to release him and turn him into a weapon, which is super hilarious. And Hanlon's like, why don't we just move it and make his cell smaller and smaller until he has nowhere to go and he can't get to anybody? So, I'm thinking, because you get all the way to the end and Hanlon is staying in town. And you're just like, oh, is that what they're going to figure out, is how to do that? Because now they're going to be the keepers. The Native Americans have been keepers. But the one lady's nephew, who was the one of the overseers and what do they call it? Your sentries or whatever, to make your guards, your guardians, one of the guardians.
Sentinels, maybe?
Yeah, something. Yes. Taniel was their sentinel for the Native Americans for this cycle. And of course he dies. So Rose, his aunt, is like, I'm done. I'm leaving. The cycle's over. I won't be alive for the next cycle. Because, she's 60-something years old. She's pretty realistic about how long she might live.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, cool. So I looked it up. The writers and producers are like, yes, we have plans for a total of 3 seasons. These are our plans.
Okay.
So this season was 1962. Can you take a wild guess what the next season would be about?
1976.
Negative. They're going to work backwards in time. So the next one is going to be 1935. And then the final season, if they actually make the 3 seasons they want, is going to be 1908. So the reason they're doing that is because everybody associates Pennywise with it. Right? The two are synonymous.
Yeah.
Not true. It operated for centuries prior to Pennywise. Pennywise happened to just be vulnerable and drunk at the wrong place at the wrong time. So in 1908, Bob Gray, otherwise known as Pennywise the Dancing Clown, who belonged to a circus, him and his troupe came to town. And their circus location was, you guessed it, on the ley line, on the borderline of the reach of it and their encampment. And one drunken night, something catches on to his sadness and on to his fear. Because Bob Gray's wife has died. He's raising his daughter alone. He doesn't know how they're going to do because he keeps faltering. And something says to him from the bushes, hey, pal, you got a minute? Can you come help me? So it's establishing how Bob Gray ends up being Pennywise. Because Pennywise is just...
It's a persona of it.
That is correct.
Basically.
It's not it. It's just a persona. So what's really cool about it is when you look at the breakdown of it is... In the Native American, he is considered a tailless. He's a Himalayan type creature. He's a shapeshifter, but there's 3 kind of things that people see him as, like the clown, right? And then they see him as this spider, and then whatever the greatest fear is, right? But the reality of it is he's just an entity that is 3 orange rotating lights. Okay. That is the true entity of it itself, is
He's
what
like
they call
an energy being or whatever.
That is correct. He is cosmic horror through and through. He's just 3 energy beams, orbs that just kind of dance around each other.
3 floating spheres.
That is correct.
Maybe that's where fucking Corellia got the idea for the 3 triangle creature. Although it's a benevolent one, not.
Yeah. No. So Stephen King based it off of the idea of a shapeshifter, the tailless in the Himalayan creature culture, and then of course the Bogart, which is English folklore apparition. It's an apparition only that just kind of comes in varying appearances to whoever, but it has malevolent intentions, right? Okay, so 1908, we have Bob Gray is captured and consumed by it. It then takes on his Bob Gray Pennywise persona. Now, what you learn through the course of this series is that Pennywise has a daughter, and her name is Periwinkle. And it is more fucking creepy. I actually have goosies right now. It is more creepy.
You mean the actual dude who it eats?
Bob Gray had an actual kid, and her name is Ingrid Gray. Her name's Ingrid Gray. But her stage name is Periwinkle. That's the name Bob gave her. So here's how this breakdown goes.
No sweet pea and olive oil.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So this is how this breakdown goes, and this is very interesting. Pennywise has a daughter. Bob Gray, known as Pennywise the Dancing Clown, has a daughter, Ingrid Gray, known as Periwinkle the Dancing Clown. Whew. Ingrid grows up to marry a man named Kersh. She works at the Juniper Insane Asylum as a nurse, or sanitarium. Juniper's sanitarium.
Okay.
So this is Ingrid's story. Ingrid's Bob's daughter. She wants to be reunited with her daddy because it stole him, and she loves him, and she knows that if she can just get through to him, he'll stop doing these evil things. Her first encounter with her father as it, Bob Gray, as it, is in 1935, where a little girl is terrified of the clown, and she gets to see her father firsthand lure a child. He thinks, Bob's like, oh, you're so good to me. You're bringing me such treats. Yes. Lures them down, stuns Ingrid. Ingrid's like, what the fuck's happening? And it eats the little girl and then thinks about eating her. So, right? Ingrid Kersh. Now, since you don't know the whole thing about it. So, Ingrid Kersh is on this mission to release her dad from she just knows her father's real. She just knows.
Yeah.
She's been working on perfecting her adult outfit for him and everything. Blah, 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 blah. So do you remember in episode 1, there is a man, the Ronnie, the black girl, her dad runs the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he's accused of killing these kids, right?
Okay.
Ingrid's having an affair with him because that's who she's been seeing behind his back. So she knows where her dad's going to be because it's so convoluted. Will Hanlon's mother is a, like, what did she's a justice seeker out there for everybody. She's an equality justice seeker. And so she comes into town. She hears about this guy who she's just like, this doesn't sound right. Finds out that no, he was not in fact there, but he doesn't want to fess that he'd been having an affair with this white woman who is Ingrid Kersh. Ingrid Kersh works at Juniper Hill. So we've got this connection. Pennywise to Ingrid. Ingrid Kersh to Juniper Hill. Juniper Hill is where Beverly Marsh's mother, oh my God, what's her name? Oh my God. I thought I wrote her name down. It's so fucking nuts. Anyways, Beverly Marsh's mom commits suicide in Juniper Hill, and Ingrid Kersh sees her mom commit suicide in Juniper Hills.
Okay. Because
Ingrid Kersh helps Pennywise with the Black Spot Fire in 1962 that kills a bunch of people. That kills my favorite character.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's crazy. So what we've got, yeah. So you got Pennywise to Ingrid, Ingrid to Beverly. Beverly is part of what we know as the Losers Club in the It Chapter 1 and 2. Make sense?
But at that point, she would be like in her 60s.
So
if she's the daughter of the fucking dude who got killed in 1900 something or other.
Yeah, she was between 8 and 10 years old in 1908. So when It Chapter 2 happens in 1989, she'd be almost in her 90s. So because if you follow any part of the genre, any part of the stories or whatever, you would know, if you'd seen the movies, which I know you haven't, but if you'd seen the movies, there is a Mrs. Kersh who takes over Beverly Marsh's father's apartment. When she comes back to Derry and she's out exploring to spark her memories, she goes to where she lived with her dad. And she meets this little old lady who lives in this place, who's actually Pennywise in disguise. So this is how the links are working backwards. Ingrid links them all. Ingrid is Pennywise in the future. Pennywise assumes her identity.
Okay.
To scare the shit out of the kids. Okay. Because I know we're getting short on time. So here are all the links, which is, again, I'll watch it if another season comes up, but they're working backwards. So maybe they'll show some better links. I don't know. Originally in this season, there was supposed to be, I think they were trying to really link everybody, right? Okay. So Sonia Kasprach in the books is Eddie Kasprach's mom. Okay. She is the one, she's the paranoid freak of, oh, Eddie, you gotta have your camphor, you gotta have your spray. And he's the one who carries the fanny pack full of goodies. And she's just so worried he's going to break his arm. He's going to break his leg, and don't be around those dirty kids, and don't eat their food, and don't talk. She's a hypochondriac.
Okay.
So in the original storyline for It Welcome to Derry Chapter 1, Sonia Kaspbrak was actually supposed to be there from Portland. She was supposed to come up as a reporter to oversee this Paul Bunyan statue that's being put in.
Okay.
Which is a big horrifying thing. That's a little beep to it's massively huge.
Okay.
It's like 4 stories or 5 stories high. It's massive. But it's a horrifying thing because Richie Tozier, one of the original Losers Club, was always afraid that thing would come to life and chase people. And in the movies, it actually does.
Because of his hallucinations? Because
of his fear of this giant axe-wielding man, right? Okay, so, but Sonia, her whole thing got cut because she was up from Portland, and she just stays in Derry. She's fascinated by Derry and all these little things. But they cut all of that out, which is really sad because they would have linked so many more of the characters. You've got Lily Bainbridge and Marge Truman, and you find out in the very last episode of the first season that Marge Truman, Pennywise talks to her about your little son. Him and his losers thought they were going to kill me, but they're not going to. I'm going to stop them all. He's going after root and stem. You know what I'm saying?
So this must be in the movie then, not in the series?
In the series.
What? The losers happened after the series. What
that is correct.
Happening?
Exactly. That's what I went. It took me a hot beat too. So what you find out, and we actually had this discussion with Dresden, time is not linear to any ancient beings. There's a beginning and there's an end. Everything in the middle, it's like being on a merry-go-round. It can be here, it can be there, it doesn't matter. So its whole purpose, as he lets Marge know, is I came back. He says this to her, that your son and his little loser friends thought they were going to get rid of me forever, and they're wrong. I've come back to cut out the problem. So he is working on the concept that time is not linear.
Okay.
Lily Bainbridge and Marge Truman, one way, shape, or form. Marge Truman, who she's hilarious, is Richie Tozier's mom. And at some point, Lily Bainbridge takes over the duties in the future of becoming his mom. So there's our link to Richie Tozier. Boom. You've got Perry Winkle, Ingrid Kersh, witnesses Bev Marsh's mother's suicide. And Bev Marsh sees her at the sanatorium when her and her dad go in. And she sees Ingrid. And then, of course, later in the storyline, as an adult, Ingrid, the name Kersh terrifies her, right?
Okay.
So there's your Beverly Marsh connection. So that's 2 of them. Then you've got Leroy Hanlon is the father of Will Hanlon, and Will Hanlon is the father of Mike Hanlon. Mike Hanlon being one of the other losers. And then Teddy Uris, who I really thought was going to be a young Pennywise because they have that same facial feature and that lip droop.
Okay.
One of the kids who got torn up in the
movie theater.
In the movie theater, yeah. So he is actually the brother of Don Uris, the guy who in episode 1 told him to grow up and quit like reading the comic books and just grow up. That's his brother. He's the father of Stan Uris. So
the older brother. Yeah.
Yep. So, and then of course, there's absolutely no relation whatsoever for Bill and Georgie Denbrough. They don't touch on it at all. So even though his mom and dad are there and him and his brother are there, they have no family history that they touched on whatsoever with any of this. So it's really kind of interesting the way they kind of like have all these little connections. But you've got Ben Hanscom, who just his aunt lives there. So, but they have no connection. So his aunt probably moved there somewhere between 1962 and when he arrives, right?
Okay.
And then there's no connection for Bill Denbrough or Bill Hanscom, so those 2. So Stanley Uris, Mike Hanlon, Bev Marsh, Richie Tozier, you've got all those. I don't think I'm missing anybody.
I have no idea.
I don't think I'm missing anybody. Anyways, they have connections for everybody except for Eddie Kaspbrak and Bill Denbrough.
Okay.
Everybody else they have connections, okay? So, and then you have the connection of Dick Halloran, who is in 3 different of the Stephen King world stories. The first one, when you date it back, is technically The Shining, but in the world and on the storyline...
Oh, that's right. He's the magical Negro who connects everything.
That is correct. He has magical telepathy. He can see and hear the dead, and he gets called to areas where there's been great issues.
He shines.
It's called The Shine. That is correct. So you've got him. So when you look at this big world of Stephen King, so originally he's a corpsman, and they have discovered that he's got this talent, and they use him to try to locate Pennywise. After barely escaping Pennywise's clutches, he gets the fuck out of Dodge. He wants a different life. He wants a quiet life. He's learned how to control the voices again. So then we find out years later, he's working and he's in The Shining, and he's working as the cook at the hotel.
Yeah.
And then, of course, years after that, he visits Danny as a grown-up in Dr. Sleep. So one of the cool things, because I know we got to wrap up here, one of the cool things I found out when I was doing this research is the actress, her name is Joan Gregson. In the original 1990 miniseries, she played Mrs. Kersh.
Okay.
She played Mrs. Kersh, who was in her dad, Beverly Marsh's dad's apartment. And, I knew Alfred. I think his name Alfred or Alvin or whatever. I knew Al, and yeah, he's been dead for such a long time. I'm so sorry. And Pennywise, of course, has taken over her entity because it's a little old lady who's not threatening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the original actress from the miniseries was actually the same actress who represented Mrs. Kersh in It Chapter 2, the movie, 35 years later.
Oh, wow. Nice.
35? Yeah. 1990 to 2018. So 38 years later. 28 years later? Later. I can't do fucking math, bro. So I thought that was really, really fucking cool. Ingrid Kersh, obviously played by Madeline Stowe. Great actress. The best actor in the whole thing, obviously, Bill Skarsgård. There's no
Ryan Reynolds is a fantastic actor.
Ryan Reynolds couldn't do Pennywise.
No.
There's no comparison to it.
Yeah.
But fun fact before we go bye-bye, and then I'll tell you the thing that gave me the rule. Will Poulter was the original choice to play Pennywise in the original sets of movies.
Okay.
Will Poulter, I'm sure, I don't know, you've never seen The Maze Runner, so I can't tell you that he's who he is in that movie. But have you seen the Guardians of the Galaxy Adam? Have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3 yet?
No, I haven't. Sacrilege. Repent.
You are not somebody who actually likes comic books or superheroes or anything. You need to fucking repent, you motherfucker.
Repent.
Anyways, Will Poulter was the original pick to do Pennywise back in 2017 when Bill Skarsgård picked it up. Okay. And, scheduling conflicts, he couldn't do it. And then Fujikawa, who was the original director set for the movies, backed out of it because of other scheduling conflicts. So you end up getting Bill Skarsgård. I personally think it's the best career move he could have made. And what's interesting with Bill Skarsgård is there are a lot of times he'll do these projects, but he does them short term. He'll do a couple of movies. Maybe he'll do a couple of shows or something related to it, but he keeps a lot of it short term because he doesn't want to get pigeonholed. Yeah. So that is partially, I think, to explain why I'm not so sad about Hemlock Grove now. However, Supernatural is Supernatural, so he's done too good of a job doing it. So bring him on as Harry Dresden, right? Okay. Yeah. Anyways, so at the end of the show, at the end of the season, right, there's a couple of things that Pennywise says to a couple people. And one of the things that gave me the ick creep that he says, he calls Will Hanlon. After they have defeated him, they've re-imprisoned him because, the military was stupid and they released him from his prison and he gets, put back into his prison, right? He's talking to Will Hanlon on the phone and he says, this is not me saying it, but this is what Pennywise the Clown says to Will Hanlon on the phone. Yeah, I guess it's about halfway through the episode. He says, the dark meat tastes twice as sweet. Oh, he didn't say that to Will. He said that to his dad, Major Leroy Hanlon about his son. Because at this point, Pennywise has captured him, right? Oh, it just gives me the yucks. But we're going to close out with this. There is a little jingle that Pennywise says to his victims. And it goes to something like this. When I close my eyes and I dream of you, I see your pretty faces and I taste them too. But my, oh my, how I wish to cry every time we say goodbye.
Okay.
We'll see what season 2 brings.
Yeah.
Have a good day, you guys.
Later.
Okay, everybody. That's all the time we have for today. So I want to thank you for stopping by to enjoy the conversation. We're glad you're here, and please share and share again and share some more. And if you haven't already, subscribe. We'll be having another chat and another cup soon. We'll talk to you then. Look forward to seeing you.